if well guided, if properly mentored, each learner, each pupil, each student can be able to reach their maximum potential. Here are 5 questions that, if well asked, if well answered by each individual learner, with the help of their support system, they will be able to achieve the greatest potential that is deep within each one of them. 1. What is your academic target? A good student will always be directed by a clear academic target. After sitting for an exam, getting results from that particular exam, a good student will immediately set a target for the next exam. In the life of a student, a target can be seen in 2 ways. There is a target on the short term, which is called an objective, and a target on the long term, which is called a goal. If, for example, a student has a target to achieve at the end of the month or at the end of the term, that is called a goal. When a student has a task that they have set to achieve in one particular day, that is called an objective. When many objectives are put together, they enable a student to achieve a goal at the end of the month, at the end of the term, or at the end of the year. I have had many students say the targets they have, and when I ask them, how did you set that target? They cannot really tell. You know, many students will imagine or guess a target without involving any calculations to that particular target that they have set. You can imagine if, for example, a student has scored a D. You will hear them saying, I'm targeting to score a B. I'm targeting to score an A. But they cannot explain to you how have they gotten to that particular A. When I'm doing my mentorship and a student tells me that they are targeting to score a B, I'll ask them, B of how many points? And 9 out of 10 times, they cannot be able to give an answer to that. This is to say that many students do not know how to set an academic target. And what they do, they just guess and wish of a certain particular grade that they would love to get. But academically, it doesn't work this way. When you are setting a target as a student, you should be able to write down all the subjects that you do. So you have a column with your subjects. So write mathematics all the way to the 8th or to the 10th or the 12th subject that you do. Then you should have a second column whereby you have your current score. Remember, we are setting a target immediately after getting the results of the particular exam that we have done or your previous exam. So, under your current score, if in mathematics you scored a 40, enter 40 under the current score in mathematics. If, for example, in English you had a 60, enter a 60 under your current score. And you should be able to do this in all the subjects. So now you have your subjects there, you have your current score there, and now we want to generate the third column of your target score. The secret is one here. If in a particular subject you scored below 50, target to improve that subject with a minimum of 10 marks. And if in another subject you scored 50 and above, target to improve in that particular subject with a minimum of 5 marks. Using our example above, at our current score, our particular student scored a 40%, which is below 50. And therefore, in the target score, this particular student will enter 50 because they are targeting to improve this 40 by a minimum of 10 marks. In the second subject, which is English, our particular student here scored a 60, and therefore they are targeting to improve it with a minimum of 5 marks. So at the target score, we will be having a 65. And the same should be done in all the other subjects. After doing that, one should be able to add all the marks in the target score column, then divide by the number of subjects that they do, and that way they will be able to get an actual academic target that they will have set. And it will be so specific such that if maybe it is a B, it will be a particular B of maybe 9.627. And this particular student can be able to explain how they are targeting to score a B of 9.67 because the mathematics is here. All the subjects are there, the current score is there, the improvement target is there, and therefore they have all the subjects, all the marks, and therefore they can be able to defend that particular target they are having in the coming exam. Secondly, here when we are talking about setting an academic target, I have seen even schools making a very terrible mistake when they are setting a target for a particular class, maybe a candidate class. You will see people say that we are targeting a mean grade of our class of about 10 points. And when you ask why 10, they will say because our last year's class had a 9, now we are targeting to get a 10 with this class. And now you wonder, how can you use last year's results, which was a different class, with the different students, with the different abilities, to set a target for this year's class? That doesn't work that way. You should be able to use the same skill like what we used here above. Let the individual candidate set an individual target. Then, take the target from all the candidates, add them, then divide to find the average, which will enable you to get the target score for that particular candidate class. The same should be applied in the other forms and in the other classes when you want to have a class target as a class teacher and even as a school. A target is very important because it enables someone to be focused on where they are headed. This will be like a person who is leaving home and they know their particular destination. So they are able to follow the road or the route that will take them to that particular destination. If you are a student and you don't have a target, it means you don't have a particular destination in your head, and therefore focusing for you will be very difficult to say the truth. That is the first question that every serious student will have to answer themselves. Number 2, what is your plan to help you achieve the target that you've set above? A plan is the systematic or the organized way to help one to be able to achieve a particular goal that they are having. I see a plan to be like a compass direction, or like the bearing or the coordinates that a pilot will use. You can imagine of a pilot, for example, in JKIA airport in Kenya, and is targeting to land in Brussels, Belgium. If the pilot will not be having the compass direction, or rather the coordinate, and he's taking the plane up to the skies, he's likely to get lost and maybe never land in Belgium, Brussels. But when they have the coordinates, they have the bearing, they have the directions, they are able to land safely in Brussels, Belgium. Equally, a plan to a student is like a compass direction that will tell a student, here is where you are and there is where you target to be. This is the direction to go. In the very basic terms, a plan in the life of a student should be in form of a personal study timetable. When in school, at least you have the class timetable, you have the school program that will enable you to do this activity at this particular time. And the biggest challenge will be during your preps, during your weekends, during the school holidays, if you won't be having a personal timetable, which will enable you to know this is the concept I need to study, this is the time that I will study this concept, then it will be so hard for you. I have had timetables that students are having during their holidays, and I get to be very shocked indeed. Because I'll ask a student, do you have a personal timetable to help or guide you through your school holiday? And they'll say yes. And then I'll ask them, help me go through the personal timetable that you're having. And you'll see a student has a planned time like this. I'll wake up and I'll have my first lesson 6 to 7. Then I'll have my second subject 7 to 8. I'll have a third one 8 to 9. A fourth one 9 to 10. 10 to 11. A fifth one 11 to 12. A sixth one. Like that. Hours which are back to back. And you wonder, is this student a computer or a machine? You can't operate like this. This will be torturous. And getting anything out of this kind of a tight personal timetable will be next to impossible. And therefore, we recommend that you have a timetable that will give you breaks. It is well balanced and well spread. And of course, we guide them in this. For example, you can have a personal timetable that reads 8 to 10. You have one subject. Then you have a break for 1 hour. You come back 11 to 1. You've got your second subject. Then you take your lunch break. Then you come back for your third session, 2 to 3. And maybe you have one of the languages here. Then you can take a proper break to do your house chores, your exercises, meeting your friends, do some other activities which are not academically related, even watching a movie. Then you come back for your fourth session, 7 to 9 in the evening. So you will have 4 well spread sessions that will enable you to plan for your holiday work, as compared to that very squeezed, very tight, back-to-back kind of a plan, which may not be effective at the end of the day. So when a student is planning to achieve their target, they should have their time that is well spread, and a coach or a mentor should be able to guide a student in laying down an individualized, appropriate personal timetable to help them during their holiday work. So this is the second question that a good student will ask him or herself, that what is my plan to achieve the target that I have set above? Number 3, what are my academic areas of weakness? When you've done an exam, for example, you need to find out what didn't you get in that examination. Let me give a quick example. Let's say one has done a mathematics exam and they scored a 40% in the mathematics paper. A good student will indicate minus 60. The teacher has written for you there, you got 40%. Write for yourself what you didn't get, which is a minus 60. Then take the second step. That answer sheet that you're having, go through it from the first answer you gave to the last one. If you got, put a tick against that particular number. Number 1, I got it, put a tick. Number 2, I didn't get, put a star. So all the answers which are correct, against the number, put a tick. All the answers which are wrong, against the number, put a star. Now this star means you didn't get. Pick your question paper from the examination and look at this number 2. What was number 2 testing? This which I didn't get. And maybe number 2 is saying, Judas bought a TV set at 20,000 shillings. After getting a 5% discount, what was the market price of that TV set? So this question, you need to place it at a specific topic and subtopic, because you are intending to identify the area that you are weak. Another question is talking about Judas, who bought a TV set at 20,000 shillings after getting a 5% discount. This is automatic. The topic is commercial arithmetics and the subtopic is discount. So you have identified that commercial arithmetics is a topic that you are not strong in, and discount is a subtopic that is giving you a lot of challenges. So you've been able to identify the area that you are weak, and you should do that in the whole paper and in all the other subjects. You are trying to identify which area am I weak in, which topic am I weak in, which subtopic am I weak in. This is a very crucial step, identifying the areas that you are weak, because if you don't do this, you will never get to know I'm weak here, I'm strong here, and therefore you might remain the same, you might stagnate, you might mark time, and in actual sense, you will never be able to realize the full academic potential that you are having if you can't be able to identify the areas that you are weak. So, in our question number 3, as a student, a good student for that matter, you need to ask yourself, what areas am I weak in? And you ask yourself this in all the subjects that you can. And that last exam you did will be a good way to help you identify the areas that you are weak. Question number 4. How can I address my areas of weakness? This is so simple if you've been able to identify the areas that you are weak. Like in our example above, Judas bought a TV set at 20,000 shillings after getting a 5% discount. So you've been able to identify the topic that is giving me a lot of headache is commercial arithmetics, and the subtopic is discount. So pick your course book in mathematics, open that particular commercial arithmetics, go to that particular subtopic of discount. And the good thing about the mathematics books that we have, they'll have an example 1, example 2, and example 3. Look at example 1, study it well. Look at example 2, study it well. Look at example 3, study it well. If you see you've been able to understand the working, give yourself example 1, example 2, and example 3, like question 1, question 2, and question 3. Do them, work on the mathematics, then mark for yourself. If you've gotten right, pick a revision book that has questions and answers in the same commercial arithmetics, the same topic of discount. Do about 10 to 20 sums in the same area. Then mark for yourself. If you've gotten them right, then you have been able to address your area of weakness, which was commercial arithmetics, discounts, and now it is no longer your area of weakness. Go to that mathematics question paper. Do Judas bought a TV set at 20,000 shillings after getting a 5% discount. What was the market price of the TV set? And if you get it, clap for yourself and know deep within you that you've been able to transform an area of weakness to be an area of strength. And if you will ever find a particular exam testing the same concept in any other exam or even in life, you will get it right. This addressing areas of weakness should be done through the whole mathematics paper and through all the other subjects, because you are able to identify the areas that you are weak. You can imagine a student who has got this skill of addressing the areas that they are weak, they'll continue having more and more areas which they are strong. And by the time they'll be sitting for their final exam, they will be able to do so well because they will have addressed so many areas of weakness, making them to be their areas of strength, reinforcing those areas of strength, and improving academically to achieve the greatest potential that they were created to achieve. Our last question, what is your revision strategy? A good student has a strategy to revise. Remember, revising is reminding yourself what you've learned. And you cannot remind yourself something that you've not learned. So you must first of all learn, whether in class or individually. Then you come back to remind yourself what you learned through revising. And revising is in a big way preparing you for the examination. Remember, the examinations, for example in the 844, are in form of questions, and therefore I would expect that in your revision you are making use of so many questions so that you get to understand how questions in this particular subject are set, how you should be able to process the questions in that particular subject, and how you should be able to best present your answers in that particular subject. Revision is very important, and revision should be done very strategically not only reading your notes, because reading your notes you can and you do a lot of it, but if you do not understand how the same concept in those notes is tested, then you might have a very difficult time when you will be sitting for your examination. The same case applies in the CBC, competency-based curriculum. You should be able to review or revisit the concepts which you are taught, so that when the testing of the same concept is done, you are able to give very good feedback to the examiner, and therefore you're able to get a high mark simply because you will have been able to sharpen your understanding of a particular concept. You will have been able to understand your skill and comprehension of a particular subject or concept or experiment, and therefore you will be very good at it. So, as much as you are doing your classwork, as much as you are doing your personal work, having a clear strategy on how to revise. And the strategy you revise in mathematics may be different from the strategy you use for chemistry, for CRE, for the other subjects. So, you must be able to identify as an individual student, what is my best strategy to revise, to remind myself in this particular subject. Then you apply it and see how well it works for you by the time you will be sitting for your next examination. Revision is very important, and therefore a good student will keep on asking him or herself, what is my revision strategy in this particular subject? What is my revision strategy in that other particular subject? And if you are not good to answer that question as a particular student, you can talk to your teachers, you can talk to your mentor, and to the other support system, so that you can be able to identify the best revision strategy that you can use, so that you can be able to get the best mark in that particular subject, and averagely in all the subjects that you do. I strongly believe that every student, if well mentored, well taught, and has a proper support system, they can be able to be fine-tuned to achieve the greatest mark that their brain can be able to achieve at that particular level of education. Every student is capable if they are well nurtured and if they give the effort that is expected from them. Keep on making an effort, keep on giving your best, and you can be sure you will get the best in your academic life. Thank you.